You first talked to me and said, why don't you speak? And I readily obliged and then reminded you also that I was to speak and I was ready. And the human race. Now, I am reminded, and this was the inspiration really, it was these are the words from a poet called Alexander Pope, who lived in the 18th century, and he has a poem called Essay on Man. It's a poem, it's not an essay. Essay, as you know, means effort. That's all. It's an essay on man. And he begins with the lines, presume not God to scan, presume not God to scan, the proper study of mankind is man. Good and bad, everyone must be, few in the extreme, but all in the degree. So, few in the extreme, but all in the degree is what every man is. And the fool, by fits and starts, is wise. And the wise, that which they doth despise. Despise because a wise man never wants to be called a fool, though sometimes even he makes a fool of himself. So, actually this has been my inspiration for this talk, and also what's happening around. And as I said, mine goes beyond academics because I would like to observe life as it is lived around us and make my observations from that kind of life that we lead. And that's why I said I'm a pragmatic academician. I'm not going to be bookish. No, I'd rather be observant and give you my observations. But before all that, let me just make a background study, very briefly, about us. And by the way, when he said, presume not God to scan, the proper study is of man, the proper study of mankind is man. Now, I know some of you ladies might object and say, why only men, why not women? Unfortunately, Alexander Pope during those days didn't have this problem of, the feminine movement and all that. And I can only quote the words of a poet, I can't make it up. But I'll make the amendment. When he says mankind, he also means woman, let's say humankind. And I think whatever he has said applies to men and women. Now let me make a background study so that we place the man where in his habitat on this planet Earth, and what is his role, and what has his role been over the centuries. So that's where I first want to place the human being. The universe, according to scientific theory, started sometime about 13.8 billion years ago. I'm talking about the universe. 13.8 billion years ago. And just to remind you all, 1 billion is 1 and 9 zeros. See, it's not 10 million or 100 million that make up 1,000 million that make up billion. I mean, just in case some of you have forgotten that. So it is that old. But about 4.5 billion years ago, in the solar system, is just one human race, and that is the Homo sapiens. And we know more about them, and they seem to have come into existence as a separate species about 300,000 years ago. So my history really starts with 300,000 years and what's happened thereafter. Very much, but these are the findings in Africa. And in a certain place in the country of Morocco, and there you find that due to excavations, they have been able to dig out skeletons and the remains and thereabouts and come to the conclusion that all humankind, especially the Homo sapiens, emerged from that one continent, which was always known as the Dark Continent. But it was the continent which had the first Homo sapiens 300,000 years ago. I don't know how many are aware of it, but please tell me, how many of you say that all the human beings living on earth is one race? Will you kindly put up your hand? Common among all the human beings of this world. And the theory of races, which was so championed by Hitler as the white race and the other different races, well, is supposed to be scientifically wrong. And this was a statement put out by UNESCO, which is a branch of United Nations. United Nations Educational, Scientific, Cultural Organization, and UN has so many such branches. And they, in 1950, mind you, gave the declaration that it is one race. And it's wrong to think of ourselves as Homo sapiens, and only they exist in the world today. And that is why I said, what is wrong with us, the human race? It means that we, first of all, don't think of ourselves as a common race. Whereas now it has been scientifically proved, especially after the mapping of the genes for the genome, that we do belong, and that happened in 2003 or 4 or so. The genome being mapped, and there are about 23,000 genes. Now, there also, after having studied it, they have come up with a statement. I will read out the statement for you, what is now normally accepted, but it is not widely spread. Most of us don't have that knowledge, and it is so. That is not my content. We'll talk about it later, don't worry. So this is one of the things, one of the major things which I wanted to tell you, which may, surprise many of you. Like it surprised me. When I was reading through, I said, how can it be one race? It's Caucasians, and then we have the Nordic race, and then we have the Mongoloid, etc. But then as I also dug deeper, and this is mainly through Google, let me tell you my source. And Google also gives out a lot of facts. And I'll answer this question later. Okay, now, we have come to the 300,000 years. As you know, it was all traversed in that visual I showed you. It has come right up to the modern man. But let me say, what happens after the human being, the Homo sapiens are there 300,000 years? And when you contrast 300,000 years to 4.5 billion years being the age of the earth, you find that we are really newcomers when you look at it. Now, if you take a day and calculate the number of seconds in a day, we come in the last 5 seconds. That's all. But and this is a very valid point I'm trying to make to you. And having come late, we are the masters of the world, as it were. And about 5,000 years, 10,000 years ago, we started to live agrarian kind of life. Man started to cultivate and things like that. And the first script that has been discovered somewhere in Morocco, about 3,000, 3,500, 3,000 BC, before Christ era. And once that happens, till then, you have these little paintings on the walls and signs, etc. Once man became, knew how to write, and this spread, I don't know how, through all other cultures, religion came into existence. Now, Hinduism, they say, is the oldest religion in the world. But the other religions who followed, Judaism was about next, and then you have, the others like Buddhism, Jainism. Actually, Jainism came before Buddhism. And you have the Christians. And so you have, yes, so many. And then what happens is, and Islam came much later. It came in early 7th century AD. But you find all these religions that came earlier generally preach peace and living a harmonious life. Because, I'm quoting the famous words of Christ on Sermon on the Mount. He said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the world, the earth. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. And if anyone should slap thy left cheek, show thy right." Now look at these words, said many thousand years ago. What does it show? It shows peace at all costs. This is what many religions preached. In ours, Hinduism, you have Vasudeva Kutumbakam. Even the Chinese, I have read Confucius's, writings in English, of course, where he says the world is one. So there was this feeling of oneness, and there was this feeling that peace should prevail at all costs, and that is what really matters the most. This is what religion did at first, and that might was not right, but right was might. This is what religion did to the world. And then what do we have? Centuries later, we have religious wars, all in the name of religion. The Christians versus in the Christians themselves, the Catholics and the Protestants waged a number of wars in Europe. There were millions killed, not thousands, millions killed, because there was the 7-year war, the 14-year war, the 30-year war, the 100 years war. There were various wars in England, all because of Protestantism protesting against the values and the practices of the Catholics. But they all believed in Jesus, Mother Mary, etc. and the resurrection. I'm just giving you examples how that even religion was not enough to bring peace to the world. Now, also I want to show you because we say the human race is one, a kind of a migration took place in the world long, long ago by what you saw on video of the man. And this also happened centuries ago. Can you just show that map, please? Can you see the roots? All of them are from Africa. And can you also see how America, continent of America and Asia gets linked? It gets linked in what is called the Bering Strait or so. And the Bering Strait, that one that takes a curve. You can see that, pink one. Subsequently followed by many other civilizations, the Indus Valley civilization, the Chinese civilization, so many other civilizations, Egyptian, etc. Now, with the first writings, as I told you, religion came into prominence because you could write and you could structure the religion in a particular way, and you could have the rules and regulations. So religion became institutionalized, not just by word of mouth, but by certain rules. So you had the Bible, you had the Quran, you had our own Vedas, etc. So man began to live, because religion has played a very important role in the lives of us and our thinking. What has happened in all these wars and the revolutions, everything that has taken place, it is a battle between man and man. There were diseases, that's a different thing. But no animal or mammal did we have to go to war with, because man in due course of time became supreme, absolutely supreme, and he could conquer any living animal. The only thing he has not been truly able to conquer are the mosquitoes and the viruses. And because they do sometimes appear and kill in the millions. You know, it was the mosquito that killed Alexander, supposed to have killed Genghis Khan, two great emperors. And then, you know, what happened to Alexander's empire? It wasn't able to proceed further expansion. So this was there. Then you have, man is now the superior, supreme being. There's no one to challenge it except man himself. And all other, he's on top of the food chain. Because as you know, he can get any animal and preserve himself. The animal conflict is very, very minuscule actually. But then, what man has done to mankind is also a kind of struggle existence in the real world. You know, there are about 1 billion people who live in poverty. In India, 1 billion people. I checked this yesterday. 1 million people, that is children born from 1 day old to 5 years old, 1 million people die of malnutrition every year. That's a huge number, even today. And then think of those who have survived. They are malnourished. Think of the mothers who have born such children, and they are not really fit to live and grow and lead a normal life. So although man is at the top end of the chain, there are a few people, I wouldn't say few people, many people who are at the top end, but there is a struggle for existence. For many men, and I heard this, life is a celebration, Shivana. Celebrate. It's true. But then, you look a little further, and another man says, life is misery. You don't know. Every day I have to make both ends meet, and I can't do that. So that's another thing. So in our own human setup, we have created a kind of an animal world. Survival of the fittest. And this is what man has done, mind you. But then, he has also done some wonderful things. And I'll show to you on another video. Please play that video of what man has achieved. What nature has created. We have so many national parks. I asked this question, I myself was surprised when I got the answer. I was expecting a few hundreds. And then you know the sports events. And what happens there? Man celebrates. All of us are one. The thing is, we want our team to win. In this, not even that. When you see these musical performances and this, it is pure enjoyment. In the other one, it is excitement. But even the loser wins. You know how? He gets very well paid for it. He wants to play the next match also. He doesn't mind losing again, because he'll get that fees as well. And the people who organize it make money. It's a whole industry where everybody makes it. We are seeing that in the IPL, but the football clubs are much richer and bigger in other countries. So this is something that mankind has taken to, and it brings people together. The Olympics it's a celebration of all the countries taking part in the Olympics. Summer Olympics, Winter Olympics. So we have all this. And then you have the world's, the bridges. I mean, it couldn't be shown in detail, but what fantastic buildings we have built. Tremendous. You know, the architectural marvel of the roads and the bridges and what have you, and the kind of even the aeroplanes we have built, and the ships we have built, the cruisers, the liners, luxury liners. All this has been built for man's comfort. And the cities, the modern cities, for a better future. Now people have gone abroad. Why even in India, you see so many new features coming. And all this, and then there are many more that I've really left out. Man's creativity as writers, as thinkers, etc. And how many people have even died for noble causes. They've died so that their country could get independence, or they could be freedom of speech, etc. And you have the best of people, people like Buddha, people like Gandhi, people like Jesus Christ, and several saints. You know, there are thousands and millions of people who have sacrificed their lives so that the others can live a better life. All this mankind has done. But look what he has done after that, and with it as well. Yes, the harmful things. Yes, could you focus it a little more? Yes, it says progress at a cost. No. A little back. Yeah. If you can see that, the first one is, you know, the ravages of a war, and there is so much of devastation. He builds and he destroys other people's construction. Look at the forests. They use as many other living things in one day, every day, as the human race. All that you have to do is go to a dry fish shop in Kerala, and you will find at least 1,000 to 2,000 dry fishes there. Or any other, you can think of it. And not millions, billions of tons of meat is produced annually and consumed by all of us with pleasure. I'm a non-vegetarian. Now, again, you see the garbage. And then that one is the slums built. You can hardly see the houses and amidst others. So this is what you see of man. He's done both. He's brought out some of the most beautiful things in the world, creations of his, and he's done this also. Now, how do you explain it? How do you explain this kind of behavior? What have we done to ourselves? Okay, now let's look at it for ourselves. Okay, so please do some introspection. I'm going to ask you, search your own souls and see if what I say is correct. We are all overcome at some time or the other, as we have grown up, with negative feelings like jealousy, hatred, selfishness, violence, cunning, domineering, scheming, liars, exploiting. At the personal level, we have done it single to somebody else. And many times, we have also done it with the family, micro. If there is somebody with any kind of weakness, we exploit that weakness. And that's what the women will tell you. They have exploited, that is why they are crying out for more equality, which is a different question altogether. But that is how they have felt. So we are exploiters. We have this basic feeling individually and at the micro level. So what do you expect at the macro level? The same thing. Ultimately what is macro level? The gathering of human beings together. So what do you see? We elect somebody and he exploits the people. And then some want to remain in power and they find the best way to remain in power is go to war. That's what kings of old did. And so they were able to unite the nation. Now wartime is emergency time, and you see that everybody has to fight, and you stay united. An emergency pass means the person continues in power, and that is what Netanyahu is doing today. See, so what they do, and Trump also is trying to do, and many other leaders also, not just them, even the ordinary political leaders, they try with all their cunning, their subterfuge, everything, they do that. But the pity is that the minority rules over the majority. Because if you look at our own politics, if you look at anything, some people get elected and they wield all the powers. They take the decisions, and these decisions stay. No matter what scholars, great thinkers, economists, even the most charitable persons do, they are not bothered. In fact, if the opposition goes a little more, they arrest them also. And in all these revolutions, it has happened in Kashmir, it has happened in Sri Lanka. The first people to be killed are the peacemakers, because they are a hindrance, and it is the violent people that take charge. That is at the political level. Look at it from the economic level. 1% of the human population owns 45% of the wealth of the entire world. And 2%, it goes well above 50%. You can imagine the rest. The last 10% would not even be owning 1%. Struggle for existence. This is what we have done. We have the power to vote. And yet, what have we done? We have voted in such a way that we have helped these people to come to power. That is what has happened. You see, the only type of AI that exists today, these systems are designed to perform specific tasks with high proficiency, such as facial recognition, language translation, etc. Now we know all this. This is what are the jobs that AI can take over from humans? The reply Elon Musk gives him is, every job in due course can be taken over by the AI. Now it seems frightening, and I think it was the president of some European association, was it, I forget, but she said that in 2 years' time, 1 year is already over, the AI employment problem will strike like a tsunami. And already we are seeing so many layoffs. People, educated people, white-collar job people will not have a job. Now can you think of having no job at all? Then what other job do you have? You'll have to do some business. You'll have to enter agriculture or some other thing. And can they employ so many people? That's one thing. Then the third one, artificial intelligence, hypothetical, could be, need not be. Future stage where AI surpasses human intelligence in every aspect. Now, every aspect, including creativity, general wisdom, and social skills, all that which we feel that we have, which the other one, in due course of time, is going to accomplish that as well, and that is called superintelligence. At this stage, AI could potentially optimize itself autonomously, become independent. It need not be dependent on you at all, resulting in rapid exponential leaps in capabilities, and one of them could be destruction. Now, I always have this feeling that someday we'll reach that stage, the third stage. And they may sit together. Just imagine some machines sitting together and say, how can we solve the problems of the world that exist? Because, what man has done, I've forgotten to tell you. He's polluted the earth in every way. Whether it be air, water, or the sea, land, space, and deep sea also is now mining. God knows what pollution will take place. And man is a plunderer. I use this word strongly. I'm also belonging to that group. But look, he excavates and takes out all the gold that there is in this land, all the diamonds, at least most of it, and also the oil and coal and what have you, all the minerals, all the other things, as if there is no tomorrow. That is, he doesn't think, if I deplete all these resources, what will happen to the future generation? No. Mahatma Gandhi said, this world can all the needs of human beings, but not its greed. You know what he said. And this is what is happening. Man is a rapacious animal, as it were. He is truly a plunderer. We know that. He's a killer. Now, I have described all this just to tell you the good we may have done, but the harm we are doing. And the artificial intelligence group may say, we can solve all the problems of this world by just doing one thing: get rid of mankind. Billions of lives will be saved every day. The world will not be polluted to such an extent, and we can all live in peace. Of course, there will be the odd survival of the fittest and some killings, etc. So, this is what we are going to challenge. And many people, like not only Elon Musk, there was one Jeffrey Hint or something, his name. If anybody can know his name, I've got his name somewhere. Huh? No. Okay. Many have want. They want the thing to be regulated, AI. But Donald Trump says no regulation. And you know what he is up to? Okay? One day he says he'll take Cuba. One day he says he'll take Venezuela. He takes it. Another day he says, I will finish Iran. I will see that it enters the Stone Age. And he's perhaps trying even now. And then he says that Canada shall be the 51st state of USA. And he calls their Prime Minister a governor. Now you know what he's aiming at. He says, I want to take Greenland also. And Greenland is quite far away. And Canada is just his next door neighbor. Now he says, I'll take over. And what does he say? Make America great again. It is not make the world more comfortable as a place to live in. No, that is not what he's saying at all. It doesn't matter what happens. And he's got the votes right now. And you find all these leaders, Hitler, Napoleon, and all that, they came through somewhere through legal means, but once they came to power, they became strongly individualistic and dictatorial. And we find some, and they are not the only ones, there are several, but we will not remember their names. Putin. A man like,
Putin.
Yes. And so many others, really. There have been so many dictators, but these are the ones that readily come to mind. So all that I will say in conclusion is that we are in a situation which we have created ourselves. I'm sure you'll all agree. But we have created it in such a way that we could annihilate ourselves. And even today, for example, when many things now are done only by artificial intelligence. Take, for example, every day you are looking into the Google, okay, all kinds of things. Now you can just whip out the thing and ask, what is the distance between Nanjangud and Nagpur? It will not only tell you the distance in kilometers and miles, it will show you the route also. How many hours or minutes you can reach it. Now all this, any two. I just gave an example. You try it, I've tried it. I have tried it between Mysore and Meenangadi. Meenangadi is the place I have my property. And then you are surprised. Okay, Mysore is too big. Meenangadi to Nanjangud. It will give you the route also. Mind you, It's like this, you get the whole information in 3 to 4 seconds. Now, the human being, no matter how many people you employ, can't give you that kind of a result. Then, recently in Shanghai, 60,000, 60, not 60,000 drones went up. And there was a big show by Shanghai. Just a few years ago, it was 3,000, 5,000. Today it's 60,000. Just imagine 60,000 drones being loaded with ammunition to bomb. And everything is controlled by AI. Now the last thing I wanted to ask is, I asked, so many people, and AI gives you the data much faster than what humans can give you. I believe even when about 100 drones or whatever the number started from Pakistan to bomb places in India, artificial intelligence gave that information. And even in the war between US and Iran, there's a lot of artificial intelligence in play to know what the enemy is like. Because it gives you in no time, which can take weeks for others, the human beings. And so, India was prepared. And you must have read the news that India, knocked off each drone. They were prepared for it. So, all that artificial intelligence has to do is give you one wrong information deliberately, and you could be bombing other places. And we saw that also when US bombed a certain school which it didn't want to also. It must have got this false information. So this is the danger of AI, and we're all moving into it. Remember this, please. Okay, I'll end with this talk, and only with one metaphor, or rather an example. We are like Abhimanyu. We are all well informed, done well. But as a whole group, we are going into this Chakravyuha. You can't help it. Nobody can help it. Because nobody is going to listen to another person. Not even Trump, or even the three most powerful men, Xi Jinping or Putin. Because somebody else will do it. And others will forge ahead. It's a race which has to be won. And it's a race which can never be won, because after 10 years new things come. There could be germ warfare. There could be so many other things that could happen. Viruses. So it will never stop. This thing of being dominating. I think with these words, I'll stop. And I would love to have questions and other observations from you.
I don't have a question as such. A lot of questions keep bothering us. Essentially questions like, in fact, this I have shared with some of my friends and students also. Many years ago, I think I was mid-40s, I was asked to do a Chintana for Akashvani Mysore. And I wanted to define human nature. Now, how do we find human nature? Now, I am very, Ganesh is an old student of mine. We know each other very well. But how well do I know Ganesh? And how well does Ganesh know Beliappa? How well does Tara know Beliappa? How well does Beliappa know Tara?
His wife.
No, sorry, yes. Thank you.
For reminding.
No, because, so in fact, I made a theoretical construct as to how to go about identifying human nature, discovering somebody. So the first thing that came to my mind was, there is a famous saying in English, face is the index of the mind. So okay, so all of us think, if I look at Ravi's face, I can make out who Ravi is. But Ravi is too deep. There is no way he is going to let the cat out of his face. And then I said, okay, then so what? I remember Ben Jonson, a 17th century English poet, said, speak that I may see thee. So if you speak, I can make out who you are. Even there, human beings are so ingenious. We say something, we do something exactly the opposite. Okay, then what? There's another proverb in English. Tell me who your friends are, I will tell you who you are. Even that will go about half a kilometer. Beyond that, it doesn't work. So in fact, with my limited experience of life, I said, give a man or a woman a chair and then see who she is or who he is. Because by and large, if you give a person position of power, you find a transformation. Lot of people, but there are exceptions, like my guru, Dr. Murthy. I mean, he got the Padma Bhushan, he became the president of Central Sahitya Academy, and Gnanapeeth Award, Film Institute director, so many things. But the man didn't change. Now that takes sterling character. Otherwise, most of us, in fact, I'll conclude by narrating an anecdote. Years ago, on a Shastri fellowship, I spent about 3 months in Canada. I stayed with my relative, Mr. Chinappa, some of you know, who have translated Patoda Paname into English. So I was we were doing some window shopping, myself and Mr. Chinappa. And he told me in Kodwa, my language, my mother tongue, he said, don't look at him right now, just wait for some time, then you will see him. So after some time I look at him, a very nondescript man, Dr. Shivana, very nondescript. And he said, you know, Sherry is my pet name, you know, this guy is going to be the next Prime Minister of Canada. I was shocked. Because in India, I'll give you one instance, many years ago, we went to Nalbak on Devaraja's Road, it's no longer there. And when we came down, there was a jeep there, and about 20 people. So I asked the security, Yarappa Yoro? Illa sir, you're a panchayat member. So a panchayat member has so many people. Now this is the amazing mystery of human nature. But then Dr. Shivana is always somebody who is extremely analytical, very rational, and very often it's very difficult to disagree with Shivana. Somebody who is a never say die type. He sticks to his position very strongly. I've rarely seen him give up his position because the position that he takes is reasonable, rational. So anyway,
listening to most of talks from then, one thing you referred to Pope in the beginning. I wanted to make a connection. Pope has one line in that poem: "Born but to die, reasoning but to err." So the problem started with the problem of artificial intelligence. It started with human intelligence itself. The human mind reasoning but to err. There is the story of Dr. Pastus. So is it true? You know, is our intelligence something that ultimately has the aim of self-destruction, as you mentioned? The whole point is about the paradoxical nature of human being. And of course, this paradoxical nature of human being is reflected, it is a reflection of the very cosmic construction itself, where there is positive and negative. In the proton and the electron, the positive charges and the negative charges. So there is a paradoxical thing. And then the two slides you showed about the man's creations and the darker aspects, destructions. It's again our paradoxical nature. I am a God one day and a Satan another day. The same person can be the God one day and the Satan another day. So we don't know really. Actually, it is something philosophically. So that's what in fact, when
powerless. We can't do anything. They say, look, you have voted for us, and so we will do it. You just sit quiet now and see us rule, misrule, misgovern, govern, everything.
Thank you very much for a wonderful talk. Shall I set my house in order? Shall I at least set my house in order? That rings a bell. Now, you have taught us literature, like Professor William. And today's talk is full of extraction from Google. But what happened to Shakespeare? What happened to Eliot? What happened to Lawrence? What happened to all those great minds that you have acquired knowledge and passed it on to the next generation? Now, is it a waste of time? Do we have answers to the present day problems in literature? Have those Dantes and Miltons and Shakespeare's worked in vain? Now, for example, I am steeped in Pampa, I am steeped in Shakespeare, and they give me a lot of shock absorbers. There's a reason why I started off saying, at least set my house in order. Very many shock absorbers. You are absolutely right. Power corrupts absolutely. But even then, at the individual level, when we have so much enriching literature, philosophy, that I am sure Trump is not going to rule forever. Barack Obama and people like him will come. It is always one step backward and two steps forward, rather than the other way around. Let us be hopeful, and especially for students of literature, there are wonderful things to fall back upon, and at the individual level, we can become, each one of us, the shining lights.
It's a new thing.
Yes.
And the writers of old could not have imagined all this. And then it is a problem. I mean, imagine in 1 year, young people get unemployed after having been fully qualified for the job with all kinds of degrees. I see.
The way the robot tries to manipulate the whole reality and tries to outsmart even the human beings there. So I think, and where you have,
Isn't this that 2000 something or okay? Professor Mohammed has a question.
As a student of governance,
As a student of governance, okay. He is a political science professor. Yeah.
I feel we will put our house in order because human intelligence is really the basic thing and a higher thing. It can create an artificial intelligence and it can control it too, because human intelligence, as you are doing, analyzes the negative side, and when you know the negative side, you don't want to suffer it, you want to end it. And therefore, governance, improvement in governance, which has been happening right from the beginning, from the animal stage to the human stage. We start from the jungle law, we moved on to ethical behavior, and then to law, and now to constitution. And from dharma or constitutionalism, all these things are good evolutions in the life of mankind, which have guided us and brought us to this democracy, constitutional system, constitutional democracy. Here you find selfish people get elected, but they are also thrown. In Nepal, the other day, two ministers, home minister and another minister,
Finance minister,
were thrown out so fast. This is the beauty of democracy, and therefore I wonder whether you appreciate this need for freedom to counter, freedom to hold a mirror, freedom to suggest an alternative, and this essentially I have a lot of love for democracy, and it has improved the world, and it will improve, and we will have to control Trumps and all that. Thank you.
AI, and I asked this to an MTech person who was studying MTech. He had come home for some reason, and he said he was doing his MTech. So quickly I asked him this question. Just tell me, I said, can every spending of the government be scrutinized? For example, I gave him the example. You propose a 20,000 crore iron and steel mill. It's usually 15,000 crores, 20,000. And we have no idea what is 15,000, 20,000 crores. We honestly don't. We don't know the real difference. But there, it will list every article, every construction piece, what the actual price is, and other things. Today it's possible, you'll get it. Any one of us, if we make up our minds, we'll get it. And the capacity and everything. So you will know what is the market price for each article, what exactly has to be done for everything, and there will be absolutely no chance of a person overstating it and, instead of 15,000 crores, he gives 20,000 crores. I used to think a person can stand for election and say, I will govern by artificial intelligence. And
Position to question that, and then that is possible in a bi-party or a multi-party system. If there's a uni-party system, there is nobody to question on the basis of the data you have through the artificial intelligence.
Yeah, that's one possibility.
Professor Umapati spoke about the
Yeah.
Nepal example. Now we have the recent AAP example, because BJP has the most powerful washing machine in the
Yes,
world.
yes.
Money power.
Yes,
Yeah.
But there is one fourth one emerging very strongly, artificial ethical intelligence.
And the opposition connive and do things together. Only thing in parliament, they pretend to oppose each other. See, this is happening because they know they'll be out of power, somebody else. How many times has Rahul Gandhi
we couldn't discuss it and there is no scope for it. The relation between power and whether it is intelligence, whether it is capitalism, whatever it is.
I'll also. There is more than a ray of hope. Because in Switzerland and the Scandinavian countries, on any important issue, there is a kind of plebiscite or referendum where everyone is asked to punch something, whether they approve or disapprove. Okay? This is come. But they are small countries. 10 million, 15 million. But this could expand because in AI, numbers are nothing. I can't hear you properly, but can somebody transmit it? Yeah, what is the question? Yeah, you can come face little to me and them. Yes, tell.
I have a story to add to the computer chip to your brain. And there's a story, we don't know how much it is true, but a mother had installed a CC camera kind of, but it was a computer chip.